here because I was invited, because you were kind enough to invite me and to welcome me, and because you're celebrating the work of my father, which is always a big honor for me. The older I get, the more I appreciate it, and I find it very touching, and I also honored that the Museum of Modern Art would pick a film of my father's to restore, and it's a film which I don't know. So I'm very excited tonight. And I think Pordenone is wonderful. I mean, I know nothing about silent film. I'm not a film historian, so I feel in a way very inadequate. All the people around me are so knowledgeable and such scholars, but it's like being in a family. I already feel everybody's so warm and welcoming, and I love being a part of it, and I'm learning so much. It's just an adventure in every way of really understanding a lot about silent film, coming to appreciate things about it and seeing the differences. So I hope to leave here a better person.
So we are happy that you are here,
yes.
Of course, very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you, for cinephile, your father is a sort of god, but of course you have a different, maybe, perception of this man.
I have a different, well, he was my father, so obviously it's, of course it's different. He was a father who played the piano for his little daughter and told me stories and made up a total wonderland of imagination and music. He was a man who loved music and played the piano all the time. When I went to bed at night, I would hear him playing the piano. You imagine yourself in a Viennese cafe, hearing that kind of cafe music, and that's what it sounded like in our house all the time. He was also a man who was completely at home in his own skin, and very much loved people, loved women, very supportive and loving. He never raised his voice. I never heard him use a bad word. I never heard him yell at anybody. He had great manners, great taste. He was also capable of, when I wasn't there, of writing me long letters about my doll, how my doll was sitting on a couch waiting for me to come back to Los Angeles, how my cat was looking sad and lonely. My cat was called Sugarfoot, and my father hated cats, but he allowed me to have one. He was just a lovely man, a very gentle man. He was also a man who was very spoiled as a child. He was the youngest of 4 children by 20 years. So his father totally doted on him and allowed him to do anything that he wanted. He was a terrible student, very bad, very not German, he didn't study well, and he was a dropout and started making movies, and my grandfather bought him, well then you could, all the company, to make movies. So he had his own little company after being in Max. This is not at all what you asked me. You asked me how he was as a father. This has got nothing.
Yes.
I'm a little off track.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's life.
Okay. So he had been in Max Reinhardt's theater. He wanted to be an actor, so he got a teacher called Victor Arnold, who basically told him he had no future as an actor because he was funny looking. Okay, he was never going to be a leading man. He was never going to play Hamlet. He went to Max Reinhardt's theater, and that was kind of enforced, that he was just going to be a character actor in small parts. But my father never took no for an answer. He was very secure in what he wanted to be. So he did his own comedies with his own character, and from that he kind of was like a chameleon. He shed the skin and became a new person and made different kinds of films. And he learned a lot from Max Reinhardt's theater. That I think Max Reinhardt was the largest influence on him. And that way that he had in all his big historical dramas of how he moved people and also how he humanized famous people. I mean, they were all, in essence, they had to brush their teeth or comb their hair or wash themselves, whether it was Henry VIII or Anne Boleyn or whatever. So I think really he brought that from Reinhardt to humanize people and to move great crowds.
Yes, so your surname is important. What does it mean in your life to be Lubitsch?
Well, it's who I am, right? It's very important to me. It's been difficult at times because I was very young when my father died. And when people find me, they expect that I'm going to be answering all their questions. You know, the Jewish question, how he made films, who was his favorite actress, what did he think of? I have no idea because he was my father and I was a little girl and he didn't talk to me about any of that. So in one sense, it's been a burden. It's been difficult because I can't answer those questions and I'm not funny like my father, and I'm not...
You are.
So that's all been hard, but on the other hand, it's been a great privilege. I've had doors open to me, and I've made friends because of him, and I got to be German because of him, so...
It's good also to be German sometimes.
Yeah, at this moment it's good to be German, yeah.
When people talk about Lubitsch, about your father, there is this famous Lubitsch touch.
Right.
So, in my opinion, you have.
Sorry?
You have the
Oh
Lubitsch
gosh,
touch,
wow.
also...
The Lubitsch touch. I'm trying to think of a different way to say it. My father counted on and expected you to be an intelligent, sensitive, imaginative person, which is not at all common today in film. They expect you to be stupid, right? And they explain everything. He suggested things to you and counted on you being able to put the picture in. So if he did a closed door, it's because he knew that what you could imagine is far stronger and more powerful than what he could show you. And he expected you to understand what he was telling you. That's the Lubitsch touch.
Yeah, and last question. Do you think that it's important nowadays? What can we say to youngsters to promote Lubitsch, and also if it can be useful today for younger people to see the world also with the Lubitsch eyes?
It's so interesting, I wanted to make a Lubitsch prize where you would get young film students and you would give them a situation and you would tell them they have to create a perfect Lubitsch moment, which would mean they would have to say more with less, because nobody understands now that more is less. And I think young people today are never quiet. They don't sit and think and reflect and imagine. Everything is loud and busy, and they never just are. They're always running, and I think you have to stand still and observe. You have to listen too, you have to listen. Does that help you at all? Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah, it's precious, yes. It's a precious advice also for young people or whoever will watch this. So,
I mean, to reflect, to try and say the most with the least, to try and make the simplest picture. Make the simple picture and then add, and then look at it, and then add something. I mean, I worked in radio, public radio, and I did a lot of interviews, and you do shoot a lot, as you know, a lot of tape, and you can hear the gold go by as you get it, right? But then you need to edit, and you take it very simply, and then you look for a little more, and you put a little more. So that's what they need to do, I think, with everything, is make the outline, think of what you want to say, and then add, little by little, but don't just jam it all in there.
I agree. So, do you want to say something? Say hello to Giornate, whatever you want?
What?
What about talking about how much fun you're having in Pordenone?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm having a lovely time. I'm eating far too much. I'm going to go home, and I have a recipe for frico. We're going to do that for a dinner party when I get home. I'm so sad that it's almost over. You know, at the beginning I thought, oh my gosh, we have a whole week here, and now it's almost gone. And I'm going to feel lonely for all of you.
For sure, you will be our guest for the next years.
Well, I would love to. If I'm invited, I will come back for sure.
Of course,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.